We learn our facts by associating countries with music.
Getting away from this world today takes everyone you know and strategies from your computer, but where can you go? How will you ever get away?
Norstrilia,
You border on the
edge of space.
Sometimes you need to go where everybody knows your name, but you cannot look the same. You need to be a cat who speaks, make doubles that look the same. We have to make sure that nobody knows your name. You need to be a cat who speaks, make doubles that look the same. We have to make sure that nobody knows your name.
Hi, I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read. Norstrilia by Cordwainer Smith, published the year of my birth, 1975, is engaging, unique, imaginative, thrilling, moving, and absurd in all the right ways. Paul Myron Lineberger, writing under the pen name Cordwainer Smith, is a much celebrated author of science fiction short stories, and Norstrilia, unfortunately, is the only novel-length science fiction book that he wrote. Norstrilia features great science fiction elements, including outer space and strange planets, robots and advanced artificial intelligence, cloning, bioengineering, immortality, future tech, and aliens. Questions the novel presents include, what does it mean to be wealthy, and what does it mean to be happy, as well as themes of redemption, compassion, and forgiveness. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of Cordwainer Smith's work and what you thought. I recommend Norstrilia for fans of science fiction that dips into the absurd or could be considered unconventional, while Simac's City, Stevenson's Snow Crash, and Heinlein's Door into Summer don't have much in common with Norstrilia. If the wow factor of the quirky characters, the thrills and setting work for you in those books, you'll equally be pleased with Norstrilia. I recommend Norstrilia for its strong and at times poetic prose, and I recommend Norstrilia for its multitudes of twists and turns, misdirections, and playfulness. Finally, I recommend Norstrilia as a short, fast read containing ideas and imagination far larger than the size of the book suggests. The spoiler-free review will include enough to enjoy for those who've already read the book, as well as introduce the novel to those of you who are considering reading it and don't want me to give too much away. In my 5 likes and 5 dislikes section, I'll be less concerned with spoilers. Norstrilia is another name for the planet Old North Australia. This planet was inhabited long, long ago by the descendants of the old Earth continent, Australia. Though humanity has spread to the stars and across the galaxy, a galaxy mostly governed by what is known as the instrumentality of man, Norstrilians have endeavored to maintain their world and way of life in such a manner as to resemble old Australia, as they estimate it to have been. Norstrilia is mostly a farming world and still, in a way, subject to the Queen of England, even though she's 15,000 plus years in the grave. Unusual about the world are the people and the sheep. First, the sheep. Because of a virus and other conditions on the planet, the sheep have grown sickly and enormous. They weigh tons. They also produce the immortality or longevity drug, Stroon. The people, or rather some of the people, are telepathic. On Norstrilia, the young are tested for their telepathic prowess, and if they pass, they're on the road to immortality. If you fail, sorry, you get a different kind of drug cocktail, and you laugh yourself into oblivion. They put you down. They kill you. Protagonist, youngish man, sir and master and owner, Rod McBann is an interesting case. Rod owns the most prolific sheep farm, known as the Station of Doom. Roderick Frederick Ronald Arnold William MacArthur McBann to the 151st is the last male heir and runs the ranch with a little help from his servants/friends. Norstrilia, because of the drug Stroon, is by far the wealthiest planet in known existence, and even the servants are ridiculously wealthy. At this point, the review is still spoiler-free, as this is all information that you'll get at the beginning of the novel. Rod has yet to take the telepathy test, and his case is atypical. He's a very important person who potentially may have exceptions made for him since he's the last of his genetic line, as well as owner of a very important and prosperous estate. He's also an unreliable telepath. It's well known that he's capable of, at times, irregularly, hearing and speaking, communicating telepathically, but more often than not, his telepathy is limited to mostly uncontrolled, powerful, capable of extreme harm, telepathic screams. Rod is due to be tested, and his odds of passing and thus survival are going to require something extraordinary. A majority of the book, in one way or another, delivers thrills relative to Rod's attempts to survive, and on the strategies of others to seek to aid him in that survival. Rod is perhaps one of the most passive protagonists I've ever encountered in a science fiction thriller. He does very little to affect his own circumstances. Much happens to him, and he's present for it, but much of his journey, though, is dictated by the intentions, plotting, actions, and desires of others. In all of Rod's adventures, the most significant quest in his life will be to determine what he wants out of his long life. Twice in the novel, Rod makes an important decision and takes action, and in both situations, it relates to his relationship with a rival who has tried to kill him. The two primary settings of the novel are, of course, Norstrilia and also Old Earth. Despite Norstrilia's wealth, there are great efforts made to protect a way of life that mostly eschews materialism and in fact safeguards against it with astronomical taxes on imports. Norstrilia is also vigilant with a defense system enlisted to protect it from the forces from other worlds that are attempting to steal their valuable sheep. Old Earth is even more absurd than Norstrilia. Humans have found a way to bioengineer and transform animals to be more humanoid, to work as servants, and to do all of the work that's basically beneath future humans. These animorphs are referred to as underpeople. The storyline on Earth has conspiracy, misdirection, survival, and even romance themes. Each of those is riddled with wild characters and creations of Cordwainer Smith's vast imagination. To speak more about Old Earth would invite too many spoilers. This means it's time for my 5 likes and dislikes with spoilers for Cordwainer Smith's quirky, fun, dramatic, thrilling, and remarkable space opera, Norstrilia. Like number 1, when Rod McMahon speaks to his computer and asks it if he'll die tomorrow, or when he tells the computer that he loves it simply to evoke a response, it humorously reminds me of how people initially received and played with Siri when that technology first came out. Like number 2, the fantastical and ridiculous elements of Rod's journey work, and because of the absurdity, I don't see it coming when he reveals that saving the ONSEC is his big wish. There's also the spider kidnapper, the underpeople, the fake Rod McMahon robots, giant sheep of course, and an assassin bird. Then out of nowhere comes the doctor on Mars speaking to Rod about making him unkillable, and then suggesting Rod become an underperson, a cat man, and provided a Catwoman pseudo-wife, and having his travel companion Eleanor turned into a replica of his former self. Like number 3, the practice of speaking 2 titles, owner and master, sir and doctor so-and-so, I'm here for that. Like number 4, the announced times and settings as chapter headings, sort of categorizing all the crazy things that are going on. At times this make the book feel like it's a play set on different stages. Like number 5, the power of the ending so subtly presented in so few words was packed such an emotional gut punch. Dislike number 1, there was so much potential for Rod McMahon to be a more complete character. That Smith did not go all in developing him more, dampened that final shock. As tragic as it was to have his child's death thrust upon us out of nowhere, the impact could have been much greater if we could have had more layers to Rod. Rod isn't a terrible character, but he certainly lacks depth. Where I found him most relatable was when he wanted to explore Old Earth. Unfortunately, he didn't do that, and the world building, which definitely was intriguing, didn't deliver on all of its promise. Dislike number 2, the introduction of Lord Red Lady, likewise was too rushed. It started off okay with the telepathy test, but it was a bit jarring to skip a few steps between the testing and his eventual savior role, whisking Rod off to Old Earth. Dislike number 3, while the songs and the poetry fit in with the fun and joyful mood of the story, They just fell flat for me. I found myself skimming over them, not caring to reread them or to try and understand them more deeply. Just like 4 and 5, this is going to take 4 and 5 because this was really the big thing. The novel was thrilling, but it lacked suspense. This is a common theme in my dislikes. There's so many ideas, enough to really carry the story and make it a winner. But because there are so many ideas, it feels like Smith, constrained by a page count ceiling, never went far enough with most of the ideas. When Rod was traveling or being shipped to Old Earth, there were so many weird strategies implemented to get him there, and then there were a number of different players involved, helping him, hurting him, or simply using him, that there weren't any pages left to build the suspense into it. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read.